Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. I'm Deb Vitrelli. We are broadcasting live from the top of Tampa Bay in beautiful downtown Oldsmar with our host, Oldsmar Mayor Eric Seidel. These segments are featured each Wednesday following an Oldsmar City Council meeting for the community. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
How are you?
A little tired.
You're fed. That's an understatement, right? Yeah. So before we begin, we encourage our viewing audience to submit any questions they may have during the segment by commenting on our Facebook live feed. And you can always email Mayor Seidel at eseidel@myoldsmar.com regarding anything we discuss. Coffee with the Mayor is to keep our community informed on highlights from last night's City Council meeting. So let's start with Citizens Open Forum.
Citizens Open Forum went good. I have to say, it was a record meeting.
I bet. How long?
5 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, my goodness. That's like 5 meetings in one.
But it was a good meeting. We had a lot of attendance. We'll get into that in a little bit.
No problem.
I have the distinction of having the shortest meeting, which, by the way, Mayor Beavis challenges that by like 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But that's okay. I have now the record for the 2 longest meetings. So,
oh, my.
Anyhow, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, there were some folks who got up and spoke last night under the Citizens Open Forum. Masuda was there, and she was thanking the public for the support for the Christmas Wonderland, when our singers were up there, the Masuda dancers, I should say, and then also promoting Little Mermaid coming up in April.
Oh, good.
And more information will follow about that. Dallas Rose was there, talking about the airplane traffic going into the St. Pete airport. Mm-hmm. And so for those who want to get involved in that, I think that's really his message. He's trying to rally the folks to help support when he goes to their advisory board meeting. And so certainly reach out to him. You can get the information by going to the meeting online and getting his information. Jarrett Buckman last night formally announced that he's running for seat 2,
oh, cool.
which he recently qualified for. And so he made a nice announcement. And then, of course, Doug Beavis got up and said, hey, I'm running for seat 2 as well.
2 for 2, huh?
2 for 2. And he also talked about this upcoming event on Friday, which is the second Friday. So that will be downtown and it's a lot of fun. It's going to be holiday themed.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means, but I know it will mean fun.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Good. So Vice Mayor Knapp recently completed the first level for the Institute for Elected Municipal Officials, also affectionately known as EMU. So can you tell us more about this training?
Sure. It's run by the Florida League of Cities. It's a program. It's their university that they run to help educate newer council members. And then they have advanced programs as well. It's kind of the fundamentals. I think most of us have attended it who've been on council. It's a good experience. But it's a weekend session. And so he went, I believe he went in April. So he got his certificate, and I presented it to him last night. So we congratulate him for investing the time. And, we all come back from that knowing twice as much, which I don't know how much that is. But but no, the vice mayor, he went out there and did a good job. So
cool.
We congratulate him.
Nice job. And council member Katie Ganna presented the December 2021 Council Manager Award last night as well. And who was this award presented to?
It was presented to Carla Braithwaite.
Oh.
And so that is our city manager's wife.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, last night was the city manager's last formal meeting as city manager. And I'll mention that in a minute. And so Carla, for those of you who don't know, tremendous supporter. She is certainly someone who has made it possible, I think, for Al to stay focused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard because being in that role in public service, there's times when you criticize from the public and also praise, but it's just a lot of work. And she, in her own right, has been serving the city just as much as Al.
Yeah.
And so she was recognized for that. And it was a really nice presentation that Councilmember Gannon did. We all got a little teary-eyed. I'd encourage people to go watch it. But, so it was nice.
Carla is wonderful.
Yeah. She'd have to, she should get an award for putting up with him.
No doubt. That's a special
award.
award.
Now you'll let it rip because he's on his way. I see how that goes.
So, Probably one of the bigger agenda items was there were two first public hearings for Ordinance 2021-25 and 26. 25 amending the comprehensive plan and 26 amending the town center development code. Do these pass?
They did. They both passed 4-1. And like I said, it was a long meeting. We had almost 60 people come out and speak on the subject. Pretty well split. A couple more in favor, but it was pretty well split. It was a good turnout. And I think I would encourage people to go watch it because it's always difficult to try to summarize other people's feelings.
Sure.
But I'll take a shot at it. First off, what this does, there's a little bit, I won't say confusion, but it's a difficult subject to tackle because it's not something we're all accustomed to. We didn't change the density. First off, if this goes all the way through the process, which it has other steps to go through, it doesn't change the density carte blanche. So what it does is it says the current density next to downtown is 30 living units per acre, right? And so what this incentive does says, okay, Mr. Developer, if we'd rather have you build more residential than office space, if you do it this way, which is a vertically mixed use development, which means the living units go straight up and the retail is on the bottom. If you'll do it that way, we will allow you to build more residential units than office units. For example, next door, because there's 5 acres right now approved, if the council approved it, it requires a development agreement. They could have 217,000 square feet of office space, 150 apartments, and a 5-story parking garage.
Okay.
And they could actually go all the way up to 6 stories. It's already zoned for that. That's not what this is about. Well, in that situation, we would say to them, look, we'd rather have more people there than offices. Not that there's anything wrong with doctors' offices,
right, yeah.
mind you, because we have some good ones here. But we would rather have more people to help support the retail on the bottom. And so that's what this does. It's an incentive. It's an added tool. But even if it passes, it's still 30 units. They have to meet certain qualifications to get, and that's why it's called an incentive or a bonus. And so it passed. In the discussion, I'll try to summarize it. So I think the opposed main concern is really quality of life, right? They're worried about the traffic, the impact of traffic, and it can't be dismissed. We got a little feedback going there. All right. So they're worried about the traffic, the impact, quality of life, and that's, a legit concern. And I think that was kind of the overwhelming theme. Once again, I encourage people to go watch it. I'm kind of, summarizing quickly. And those in favor of it were saying, listen, let's move it forward so we get to the point where we have a specific proposal to talk about. Most people know there's a proposal out there. There's one coming. It's not final. From Woodfield developers, and you can go to downtownoldsmar.com to see what's out there. I encourage you to do that. Spend the time doing it. When that comes, though, part of the process, whether it's that proposal or another proposal, we're not locked into anything yet, but they'll be required to do impact studies, which include traffic.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is the point. And also, I think people feel like if you're going to create, and I'll use that proposal as an example, there's 25,000 square feet versus commercial, which is intended to be retail. And so call it 18 businesses, right? Who's going to support those businesses, right?
Yeah.
And so we've had bad experiences with the Galleria, who was built at the end of the street. We all know how they sat there vacant for years. And they just didn't have the people there to really support it. Try putting 18 new businesses in, and there's a concern. Can we support it? Does it not make sense to have the density there so that people living there can help support it? In addition to that, you then find yourself in a position to negotiate with a developer to be able to leverage them to pay for what is expected to be $20-25 million in infrastructure costs, including parking garage. And so that's kind of the in favor of it position, if you will.
Yeah.
And of course the economics of that feeds into, well, if we own it, there's no benefit to the tax roll. If somebody else is taking the risk, then you can tax it for the benefit of the people. So like I said, I always try to encourage people to go look at it. And look at not just the comments. I think you see the comments and you'll get a general theme pretty quick. Mm-hmm. But go listen to the council comments towards the end because they also give their summary. Passed 4-1 with Siraki voting against it. But like I said, go listen to the comments. I think it's a good investment of time. And what this does, what's next? So this is a change to the comprehensive plan. So what that means is it's going to ultimately get scheduled for Forward Pinellas, which is the planning arm of Pinellas County. And first it goes to their technical experts, then it goes to their board of directors, then it's going to ultimately get on the schedule for the Board of County Commissioners. Then it eventually comes back to us. It also has to go to the state. So it's going to be a little bit before we see it again. It's a matter of calendars and holidays and that kind of stuff. So
it's not an overnight event.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not. But it was a good meeting, and I'll tell you, I really appreciate all the folks who came out. Almost everybody. There was a couple people who, pulled the whole, we'll vote you out of office stuff, which, if you want people who respond just to that, I would say then you're going to be sadly disappointed in them when they have to make decisions when you're not around. Mm-hmm. And so, but that wasn't what we got. We got a couple people. But the people were really respectful. For that many people, it was very orderly. It was done in Oldsmar style.
Yeah.
Is, I guess, the best way to say it.
Respect.
It was respectful. Yeah. And I think overall theme was people wanted downtown. That was overwhelming. It's a question of density.
Yeah.
And so it's a good discussion to have, and clearly we'll have a lot more of it. I look forward to when we have some more details on the proposal from Woodfield. People forget this, but I'm the only one on record to say I will not support it in its current layout.
Yeah.
And so I'm anxious to see what the final layout looks like because I'm on record for that.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who's on record to say I don't support it yet. But it does have the elements. So stay tuned. There's more to come. But once again, thank you for everyone who came out. I think everybody did a really good job of making their points and their positions known. So we move forward.
Yeah, thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
Request was made for council to adopt Resolution 2021-21 pertaining to the final ballot language for the charter questions that's going to be around the corner, March 15, 2022 municipal election, and declaring Katie Gannon elected as council member for seat 4. Was this adopted?
No, we said forget it.
Yeah, I figured.
I think Councilman Siraki and myself couldn't wait to see this thing pass. That's a little fun humor there we're having with each other. But no, congratulations to Councilmember Gannon for being reelected. I guess it's reappointed because nobody else filed to run against her. But certainly there's a reason for that. Because she's done a terrific job.
Yeah.
And she continues to do. And so the ballot is set. So it's going to be Councilmember Siraki and myself running for mayor.
Okay.
And then, as I mentioned earlier, Doug Beavis and Jared Buckman running for seat 2.
Okay.
And so we're set to go and off and running, and we'll be voting before you know it.
Yeah, I know. Time flies.
Time flies, sure. Yeah. So it's all good.
City Council, the tentative agenda for the January 4th council meeting, which will be the first meeting in 2022. Was that approved?
It was approved.
Okay.
And, of course, the big item on there, we will be swearing in our new city manager.
Oh, who's that?
Felicia Donnelly.
Oh.
So our assistant city manager, as most know, is becoming our new city manager. And so it's exciting. She's going to do a terrific job. She's been part of the city for 5 years now. Been in a leadership role as the assistant city manager. Certainly, everybody who's worked with her, the feedback is the same, very positive. She's smart, quick, and I expect to see that she'll bring a little extra pep into the city hall, And then at the same time, I'm going to make this comment and shift into Al a little bit, because this was really Al's last meeting, our city manager. And he's done an amazing job for the city. I would encourage people to go watch the end of the meeting. We had a little fun with him, and we presented him with his traditional street sign, which is something we do when people retire, whether it's their last meeting as an elected official or whatever. And we had a sign made that was Al's Way.
That's pretty appropriate.
And it's so appropriate. If you've worked with Al, he's kind of I told the story, and we got a little time. So I told the story of when we first met, and we first started meeting. I was a council member at the time. And he was still new, and he was kind of watching his P's and Q's a little bit with me. And I looked at him and I said, "Listen, Al, if you're a wallflower with me, I will never respect you. I'm just telling you." And he was never a wallflower. I regretted saying that. That was like
Pandora's
encouraging
box.
a bull, like with waving the cape in front of you, and so that but that's what you need in that role, somebody who's going to give it to you straight. He's done a terrific job, and I think that will feel his impact for a long time. So we wish him well. He's still going to be around on special projects, but he won't be in the captain's chair as of the first of the year. So he deserves it.
Yeah.
He's served the city for 16 years.
I think his entire career was municipal government.
Yeah. So we wish him well. Congratulations, Al.
Oh, any other key items or agenda or actions from the meeting, or any announcements?
Yeah, I'll just hit a couple announcements. For those of you who've been following along, this weekend we have some events going on that I'm going to mention. The Vertical Oyster Gardens. We've talked about this. They've been promoting it online. And it's where we collect oyster shells from local restaurants. Oysters on the half shell, they take the clean out.
Shuck and save, yeah.
Shuck and save. And so the purpose of making these vertical oyster gardens, it's a lot like stringing popcorn during Christmas. You make them, you hang them under a dock, you put them about tide level, and they attract oysters to become like a natural reef for oysters. And a healthy oyster filters about 50 gallons of water a day. So the goal is to get these under all of our docks in Oldsmar, and we also partnered with Safety Harbor. So we've issued kind of a mayor's challenge with Mayor Joe, and myself, and so we're having fun with it. But it's going to be this Saturday at 9 a.m. out by the pier structure, the shelter rather, by the pier.
Yep.
Orioles Park. So come out there at 9 o'clock. You don't have to own a dock. We need people to help string these and people to monitor them. And so it's going to be a really fun project. So we look forward to that this weekend. And of course, this weekend we also have the golf cart parade.
Oh, that's always a favorite.
6 p.m. It's $5 to get into it. Call the city if you haven't registered. It's 749-1152 is the phone number.
Okay.
I'm looking at it. I can't see over my own mic. But it starts at Bicentennial Park.
Got it.
And so it's a fun event. You get to fix up your golf cart, and I frankly haven't had time to do ours yet. So I'm telling them myself they're like, "Oh, you just threw that together." No. All right, maybe a little bit. But then we also have skating at Boltzmar.
Oh, fun. At
the rink out there. It's out there at the sports complex, December 18th. I think they have like different sessions from 6, 7, and 8.
I believe so, yes.
And it's going to be holiday themed. You have to bring your own skates. And to get more information, of course, with any of these events, go online, but you also can call 749-1152. I'm getting good at that, right?
You are.
You didn't even have to.
It's like Tommy Two-Tone.
You're killing me. You're killing me. And then another event that's not a city event per se, but it's going to be at Veterans Park at 4 p.m. on Sunday, and it runs about an hour. It starts there, and then it will go over to Orioles Park. And it is run by veterans, and it's a candlelight ceremony honoring Gold Star families.
Oh, nice.
And Gold Star families, for those of you who may not know, are citizens who tragically lost loved ones in the war and serving in the military. And so we're going to be honoring those citizens, and it's a motorcycle procession that comes up. It's very impressive, very moving, and it's worth coming out. If you've never witnessed it before, I would encourage you. And that's this Sunday at 4 p.m. at Veterans Park. And the last thing, before we get into any questions we might have online, so we had a special visitor yesterday.
Oh, who's that?
Governor DeSantis decided
Really?
to come to Oldsmar. And so I've been asked by a lot of people, hey, how come I didn't hear about it beforehand? And I'm like, because we didn't hear about it really before. We had hoped for it, but until you get confirmation, you don't really know. And it's typically the way those visits work. And part of that's security reasons. So we find out about an hour before.
Yeah.
Literally. And but they decided to come to Orioles Park up there on the stage here in Oldsmar to announce a new program that the state has started, which is providing sustainability grants to different municipalities. And so Oldsmar, we applied for a couple of grants, and we were successful in our larger grant, which is in the millions. I don't want to set I know we put out the number, but technically until they go back into session and appropriate, we don't have it yet. But the governor coming here along with the Speaker of the House and everybody else who was here, we had Representative Koster here, and Representative Chris Latvala, and then Sprouse was here as well, the Speaker of the House. And so we had a little drama trying to get it because that fog yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
And he couldn't land the plane.
Yeah.
So it was going to be at 9 o'clock, and then at least they had done the press release so we could promote it the best we could on social media. And but it ended up taking place at noon.
Yeah.
And the governor came in, and he was bragging about the city of Oldsmar and the work that's being done here in the area of sustainability. And he talked about a few other items, but I would encourage you to go look at the news on the item. I'm not sure. Do we have that up on?
The city's Facebook page, there is a link to that entire press conference.
Okay, good.
On the post yesterday.
All right, very good.
So,
good.
Yeah.
So it was really a proud moment. Our citizens impromptu showed up.
Yeah.
Those who kind of saw the post and were local and could make it over there, who weren't at work or tied up. But it was nice. Our community continues to be recognized for doing outstanding things. And got to take the hats off to our sustainability coordinator, Ashley Painter, and the job that she's doing, but the city as a whole. So it was exciting. It was nice to have them come in and talk good about our city.
Cool.
Proud moment. So we got any questions?
We do. Liz Martin just asked that's wonderful that we received that recognition from the governor. And what are we planning to use the grant for?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
For Liz. All right. So the city invested in a sustainability plan. And, I'm going to use the definition in this particular case. How do we protect the city and our citizens for the changing tide levels and what is now expected to be a higher risk for flooding? And that's really the main focus on this. There's other parts of our sustainability plan, but this really relates to that. And so as a city, you look at it and you look where our water plant, our sewage plant's located. It's on the water, right? So that could be problematic. And so we start thinking about budgeting. What does it take to harden those assets? To ensure that if we do have a storm and we do have flooding that is at a new record type level, how do we maintain that critical infrastructure and protect it? And one of the ways, we've come up with a list of assets that we think we need to invest in over time. And one of the big ones is we have a control room out there that is in need of being updated to begin with, but we're going to rebuild it, and we're building it up.
Yeah.
So we're elevating it, and it's like a $4 million project somewhere. No, excuse me. I think it's like a $2.5 million project, but we put in for a matching grant. So that particular money will be used to help with our capital infrastructure, for critical infrastructure, capital expenditure, to help rebuild that. And frankly, for lack of a better word, make it more weatherproof, so that if we have flooding, and our pump stations and all these different assets are part of our list. So we're planning for events that may happen in the future that will make it easier for us to recover and sustain, and still be able to utilize that service, even though we might be hit with something. So thank you, Liz. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And then one other comment from Sean Swager. I enjoyed the live broadcast and was up until 1 a.m. or whatever time it was, LOL. Great meeting, and I commend everyone and all the citizens who spoke on such an important topic regarding density. As Mr. Buse and Vice Mayor Knapp mentioned, the small town comment was made many times by the residents on both sides. In my opinion, the definition of small town is not necessarily the size of the buildings in the city, but yet the people who make up the city. Most residents would do anything to help one another in Oldsmar, and that's what makes it a small town. Looking forward to the progress you and council have been working tirelessly on developing downtown Oldsmar.
Well, thank you.
I
Thank you,
cried
Sean.
reading that.
That was nice.
It was beautiful.
That's nice. Why weren't you there last night? No. Give you a hard time. I know. You got those babies and all. I understand. And I couldn't agree with him more. And it was a good point that Vice Mayor made. What defines a small town, really? And it was kind of interesting because, and I said this to Amber later when I got home, and pretty much everyone's comment are things that you maybe have heard before or you've thought of while you're going through your own due diligence. And I think the Vice Mayor really made a good point, what defines a small town. When you hear about the proposal that's coming, because we don't have the finite details, it's fair to speculate, it might mean this, it might mean that, right?
Yeah.
But I asked the question that how many new residents do they expect to have living there? And it's around 400, right? And so I don't throw that number out because I want to see the final.
Sure.
So, don't hold me to that. It might, But that's a good question to ask. We grew about like 500 people last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening everywhere. It's going to happen. And I'm not getting back into that whole discussion. But the bigger point is we still help each other. Ginger made a really good point. She said, you guys are my friends. We don't agree, but I would still do anything I could to help you. And to me, that kind of summarizes the city. We got anything else?
Let me see. No.
All right. Well, we went a little bit long, but guess what? I'm out of coffee.
Oh, me too.
Okay, it's Gatorade this morning. I can't lie. But listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And once again, thank everyone who came out last night. I think it's really important. And listen, have a great day and happy holidays.
Yeah,
we won't
Happy
see
New
you again
Year.
to the new year.
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Have a great day. Thank you. And thank you, Deb, Mark.
Oh, pleasure.